we've got forensics pieces are generally between 0 and 7 minutes. It depends on the piece. And if you're not stunningly familiar with forensics, everybody else can start like singing in their heads over this 400 times. But yeah, basically this is not the dead body or crime scene investigation forensics. This is the competitive public speaking version of it. There are some strange things. Kids can become multiple characters. Our team is one of those strange things sometimes too. When you have two people performing together, that's a duo, and they're not allowed to look each other in the eyes or make physical contact. So that leads to some really interesting stuff as well. And yeah, basically, this is the culmination of their work for most of the semester. Many of these folks perform at, where were we?
Someplace.
A place that I don't, bowling. Yeah, I've been saying it, all of us have been saying it incorrectly for like 30 years, or however long it's been out. So yeah, bowling, middle school, bowling. Yeah, it's got another word in there. So anyhow, yeah, that's basically where we are with where the team is. Oh, up there, for Jafar, wave your arms around a lot. That's assistant coach Jafar, so he's worked with many of your folks as well. Just so you know, in case it hasn't been communicated fully, we do have other opportunities for these fine folks to compete throughout the high school season. They're welcome to compete against high schoolers, and it's always been a really good experience for our middle schoolers. But if you want more info about that, we'd be happy to send that to you.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who helped out at the tournament. We had a lot of parents there. That was really wonderful. We are looking for judges for our high school season and for our middle school tournament.
Doors are locked to the theater.
So you sign up. No, but please email me if you're interested. We are going to be offering some training opportunities coming up. I'm planning on putting together a presentation that helped me personally when I became a judge. We have 25 students on the high school team. We have high school team members here. Stand up for a second. We need for every 5 students, we need to have a judge to come to the tournaments. And our tournaments run every Saturday from January to mid-March. So if you think that is a way you might want to volunteer, it's a great way to help out across the state. We compete across the state with our high schoolers. And we are the reigning Class CD champions right now. So it'd be really great. To have some great parent support and some new judging faces in our pool. That would be helpful to your coaches and also to the students. That being said, also merch real quick I'm going to talk about. I have not put the order in yet for those of you who are interested. I know a couple of you asked me at the middle school tournament. During the intermission, we'll have an intermission today. There are forms if you would like to still order something. So if you want to order sweatshirts or t-shirts, we're going to have some child size t-shirts this time around. Please see me, I'll give you an order form before that. All right? We can't wait for tonight. This is really exciting. I'm really excited about
So we're going to go about, we haven't timed it fully, but we have 9 or 10 performances for the first half-ish, and then I think not 8 or 9 for the second half. Yeah. So Duchamp, you are up first.
Oh wait, I have one more thing. If you have to leave, we are recording tonight down the center of the aisle, so if you do have to leave out to the sides if you can. And then also if you can do it in between when people are clapping for pieces, and then wait in the hallway to come back in, so that it doesn't disturb everyone. All right, thank you.
And performers, don't forget, you have to scream a lot and move forward a bit so folks can see you. Yep. Okay.
Wait, doesn't time right?
Right.
Which book, dear Opus, may I read you tonight? Asked Grandma with love at the start of the night. Why, my favorite, I said. The one with the rhymes. The one you read me 209 times. And just as it is with all proper grannies, she ordered me into my pink bunny jammies. She sat and said, "Push," and her voice filled the room. "Good night," she said softly. "Good night to the moon." And good night to the lamp and the little toy boat. Good night to the minutes, all hanging and soaked. Good night to the Good night to the floor. Good night to the walls. Good night to the door, like the rug, the door, and the hall. Good night, tiny mouse. Good night, blue moonshine. Good night, Grandma read the 210th time. I can't really say how this happened next, but after 210 times, I departed the text. Good night, I yelled, jumping. Good night far away. Good night to all you in my Milky Way. Sit back down, Grandma said. Get back into bed. There's no one up there, and that's not what I read. When your sight surpasses what's plainly in view, you pull your head from the clouds. You keep the ground to your shoes. Now let's finish the story with no Milky Way. It's improper that folks get so carried away. But she read no further. She said nothing more. Yes, Grandma has paused for a snooze and a snore. Now I take full blame for what happened next, for I continued the story, but departed the text. Good night, I yelled to the chap beneath my bed. Good night to you, big-nosed, blue-footed biped. Yes, good night, said the beast with toes taffy blue. I've been here for years and not noticed you. Let's finish your story and get carried away. We'll wish them good night in that far Milky Way. My friend winked to me as her voice dropped to whispers. Let's go there ourselves. Wish her right to their kissers. A team's what we need. That's just what I said. So he signed up a pillow and gave him a head. But what of dear Grandma? There's no need to tell her. So he hoisted and snuck her down the fruit cellar. She'd hear nothing more as she snored in her slumber, under tons upon tons, under comfy and snug, under tons of cucumber. Our crew was complete, my Milky Way team. We boarded our Milky Way flying machine, powered by dreams with some blue-footed help. We launched from the roof and let out a yelp. Good night to the city. Good night to all you people. Then he sideswiped to Kitty and shorted the steeple. We flew past the ferry in need of some sleep. She'd spent the whole night just collecting old teeth. They rose to a girl and covered her feet. Heaps upon heaps, 2,000 feet deep. Good night, we yelled down, and she waved us over. She wished to resell an old Elvis molar. Then we dropped in to check in the old Washington scene, where I talked with Abe Lincoln and told him our scheme. He said he himself had chased a few dreams, but now that he's marble, he wished for things. And what? I then asked. What would you most like to do? A swan dog, he said. So he stripped and did too. We flew past the sailors, a blue mist lagoon, where for 10,000 years they fished for the moon. They've seen it up there, and they just want to hook it. They dreamed that one day they might baste it and cook it. Good night, I called down. We'd help, but we're late. And we're off to the stars. And they yelled, bring some bait. We flew through the clouds, and that's where we met all those wonderful folks aboard that big jet. We yelled them good night So our faces turn purple, but theirs turn to white, like they swallowed a gerbil. We haven't a clue as to what caused the scare. They slipped by quite nicely with inches to spare. We soared higher up till the sky was filled with lovable friends that the Milky Way had spilled. And there, all above us, 6 billion udders. No cow dads around, just milky cow mutters. Good night, I cried out. Good night, one and all. And then they served us ice cream for a Milky Way ball. 'Twas time to go home. They wept and said, "Nair!" Then they kissed us good night, all 6 billion or so. Now, so here are the freshest of up to now tips. If you're due cow smooch, avoid those cow lips. I found my way home and collapsed on the floor. Not long before Grandma showed up at the door. I told her of all what happened that night, that I stepped out for once and followed my sight. And sometimes it's good that we look for a way to depart from our text and get carried away. For years, I've thought back to how Grandma had listened to all those things, to all those new things that I told her she'd been missing. How that night she had paused at the foot of my bed, and smiled at those Milky Way cows overhead. I sure like to think that one day or the next, she'd get carried away and depart from the text.
Next up is Simon. Come up and help you.
Glass flights.
Good? Have to have it. All right, so whenever you're ready.
Glass flights by Gwen C. Katz. At dawn they poured from the ground, from crevices in the rock, from underneath tree bark. Glass flights. June 25th. You could set your clock by. Newly hatched, they were clumsy. They collided with windows, smeared themselves across car grates, got entangled in hair. Jonas found one trembling on his porch, one transparent green and yellow and shattered. He scooped it up. Its thread-thin legs clung to his face. A glass fly is not a pet, said his mother. Jonas didn't listen. He placed the glass fly in a shoebox and offered it some Oreo chips. Jonas, he said, pointing to himself. Jonas, repeated the glass fly. Outside, the world was carved with crystalline wings, blue and pink and violet. Some people trod on them without a second thought. Some didn't elaborate hopscotch to avoid them. The glass flies investigated everything. They crept across bookshelves and into pantries, became trapped in bottles, or were taken home by children for bug repairs. Already they were beginning to speak in their high, reedy, strangely human voices. Jonas's glass fly was a she, and he named her Sunshine. By breakfast, she could fetch and do tricks. By noon, she could speak in phrases. Her first sentence was, "Time is short, and I want to know everything." He taught her to read from his picture books. Her favorite was his children's encyclopedia. She would crawl into an entry, bus maybe, and he would read it, and she would say, "Bus," and then, "Is it real?" It delighted her when things were real. The glass flies were inventing languages of their own, 1,000 dialects sprung from them. They made themselves clothes out of leaves and wrappers, fashioned tools and weapons. There were fights, songs, elaborate pageants with hundreds of roles. Sunshine was reading chapter books now. Sunshine grew restless in Jonas's bedroom. She perched on his shoulder while he rode his bike, around the playground, down to the quarry, up to the Walmart parking lot. "I'm sorry I don't have more to show you," said Jonas, as they sat on the roof watching the sunset climb the water tower. The dancing glass strange writing sprawled on the sidewalks and parking lots. Jonas wrapped Sunshine in a paper towel and buried her by the steps. She looked like any other dead bug. As he smoothed the dirt over her, he thought about how she'd never finished Percy Jackson. He looked out across the cornfields and wished that he too could see it.
Jack Kirby's coming down. Hey, one of the really nice things about forensics when it comes together is students are encouraged to find something, bring in something that they really love. So actually, Simran with that last piece introduced me to a whole new podcast website of young adult fantasy and science fiction, which is where that piece came from. Jack's is in a gray zone. Jack says the author is anonymous, but so we started what should we call it, a plague epidemic of these this weird town called Night Vale, where we have 3 of those performances tonight. But Jack's was written by ChatGPT. So experimental.
Cut one from the actual one.
Night Vale Food by ChatGPT. Good evening, Night Vale. This is Ernest coming from the library from the community radio station that's somewhat the safest and the most dangerous place to be. Let's dive into today's most bizarre happenings. In our top story, the globe cloud has returned. That's right, folks. Everyone's favorite intelligent weather pattern has settled over the library again. Residents are advised to stay indoors, especially if you have a fear of reach out tiny, intelligent book pages. Remember, if a picture distracts the words of excitement, just not going to be a In other news, the local government has announced a new initiative, bringing your neighbor to work day. This sounds great in theory, but Nashville residents have expressed concerns about their neighbors' jobs. For example, the Globe Cloud has been hired as a part-time meteorologist, which is sure to make Fort Chassing more predictable. And let's not forget about old Billy Joe, who insists on being her collection of enchanted Johnny notes in the grocery store. We can't see how that goes. In weather, we're expecting a high of 72 degrees, with 100% of strange showers emanating from the old abandoned factory. Residents are advised to stay clear of the area unless you want to end up participating in the annual screening. Remember, last year's wedding is still recovering from the encounter with that thing that lives under the factory floor. And now for a traffic report. All roads are closed due to a spontaneous parade of glowing, floating llamas. Yay, llamas. It's a beautiful sight, but authorities warn that they may be hostile, especially if you're carrying any sort of fruit. If you're out driving, just stay calm, wave, and whenever you do, don't offer up snacks. Also, the Night Vale Science Fair is upon us. This year's theme, Strange or True, which has some rather interesting entries. And the winner so far is a homemade time machine created by a local expert. Really, it's said to have only sat at its 2 minutes into a future. However, it's now stuck in a loop trying to catch it on its tail. Experts recommend leaving it alone until it calms down. In politics, the mayor has proposed a new ordinance to protect the rights of small, intelligent little dust bunnies. Local advocates argue that these fluffy little creatures deserve a voice, while the town council is just trying to figure out how to conduct a public meeting without being swallowed by a road dust bunny. If you see a dust bunny in the wild, there's your playing them. Petting it, they chance to get pictures from humans. And tonight's local diner features the haunted meatloaf. It's a classic dish that many people swear contains the spirit of a long lost chef. Some say it has flavor, others say it as essential dread. The choice is yours, but be prepared. The meatloaf occasionally offers terrible life advice. In sports, the Night Vale basketball is experiencing a sudden surge in popularity after last week's game, where the ball mysteriously levitated. are now questioning whether it's a trick of the light or manifestation of the dark energy surrounding the town. Either way, be sure to catch this week's game. The spectral stars versus the shadowy figures from the dark party. Tickets are selling fast. Do keep your eyes on the court, just in case. And also, community announcements. The annual Festival of Unraveling Threads will take place this Saturday at the Old Church. Residents are encouraged to bring their most tangled thoughts, socks, and existential crises for a communal untangling. It's a great way to bond with neighbors and discover you're not the only one who got stuck and trapped in a wormhole while trying to find a missing sock. The annual Festival of Forgotten Dreams is set off to kick off this weekend. This year's themes are rekindling lost hopes, which has led to some interesting preparations. Organizers are encouraging participants to bring their old diamond dreams they've abandoned, or even the lotion sock that keeps disappearing from the dryer. Just remember, if your lost hopes start speaking in riddles, best to ignore it and join the free pie. In local politics, a new debate has erupted over the fate of the abandoned laboratory on the hill. Some residents want to turn it into a historical landmark, while others insist it should be left as is to preserve its hauntedness. The observatory is currently home to a rogue star that occasionally sends out mysterious signals. When asked for commit, the star simply blinks in with code, leaving everyone confused. In a particular place, the Knightfield Book Club has decided to read the local bylaws this month. Members are excited, though some has expressed concern about the chapter called What to Do When You Find a Portal in Your Living Room. The discussions are expected to be spirited, especially if anyone brings snacks from the alternate dimension. In weather, we're expecting scattered showers with 150% chance of spontaneous manifestation of fluids here. Residents are advised to stay indoors and keep their windows closed, unless, of course, you want to face those here head on. Just remember to stay curious, stay safe, and always look out for the unexpected. Good night, Knightfield. Good night.
All right. So we have Tim Hoover's coming down, I think. So Tim's going to do an impromptu, which he is going to have a choice of 3 prompts that we have made up for him. In the spirit of Forensics Night, they're ridiculous. So our 3 impromptu people get to pick from this. He's going to pick one who has 60 seconds to come up with a speech and 4 minutes to get done. Yeah, just a reminder, friends, haters, be loud tonight. All right, yeah, come over and let me know what you want to do.
So there are multiple limited, what they're called limited preparation categories. This one is impromptu. There's also extemporaneous speaking, where you're given a more complex question and you're expected to have some supports. And broadcast. All right. So you have 60 seconds.
Now, when asked the question, who would win in a fight, Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph? I personally think that Rudolph has the advantage. See, Rudolph ice chunks and everything, a really solid formation, or it could just be loosely piled snow, debris, period. Also, the only thing that is keeping Frosty alive is his magical hat, which can be knocked off and it turns into a regular snowman. Plus, we don't know the environment. If it's sunny, Frosty could just melt into a puddle, the end. If it's snowy, well, they both have equal ground. Frosty's a snowman, Rudolph's a reindeer. Also, why would Frosty hurt anybody? He was originated as a snowman, which means he's friendly. And the hat that's put on him is extra friendly, goes romping around the town, trying to help people, etc. Rudolph, we don't know Rudolph's personality. He could be traumatized as a kid by being neglected by the other reindeer. The only thing that helped his self-esteem is Santa picking him because it was an extra foggy Christmas. And all of a sudden, hey, he needs Rudolph's help. Like, why can't Blitzen or Comet have a shiny nose? No! Santa suddenly starts accepting Rudolph because he has the only thing he needs to go around bringing pet presents to kids. Don't you think that's a little selfish of Santa, going around fulfilling his duties while neglecting poor old Rudolph? Like, if that Christmas night was never foggy, Rudolph could still be neglected by every single reindeer on Santa's team, maybe even including the elves. Who knows? That's why I think Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, could win in a fight against Frosty. Thank
That was so double.
Great. Great. Reed is up next. Come on down, Reed. All right. Finally, you get to see what happens after the end of a very famous fairy tale.
The Frog Prince Continued by John Sheska. And the princess kissed the frog, and he turned into a prince, and they lived happily ever after. Well, let's just say that they lived sort of happily for a long time. Okay, so they weren't so happy. In fact, they were miserable. Stop sticking out your tongue like that, nagged the princess. How come you never want to go down to the pond anymore? Whined the prince. The prince and the princess were so unhappy, they didn't know what to do. But then the prince reread his book, and it said right there at the end of his story, they lived happily ever after, the end. So the prince stayed in the castle and drove the princess crazy. Then one day, the princess threw a perfectly awful fit. First, you keep me awake with your horrible croaking snore. Now I find a lily pad in your pocket. I can't believe I actually kissed your slimy frog lips. Sometimes I think we would both be better off if you were still a frog. That's when the idea hit the prince. He thought, still a frog. Yes, that's it. And he ran off into the forest, searching for a witch that could turn him back into a frog. The prince hadn't gone far when he ran into just the person he was looking for. Miss Witch, excuse me, Miss Witch. I wonder if you could help me. Say, you're not looking for a princess to kiss, are you? No, I've already been kissed. I'm the frog. I was wondering if you could turn me back into a frog. Are you sure you're not looking for a beautiful sleeping princess to kiss and wake up? No, I'm the frog prince. That's funny. You don't look like a frog. Well, no matter. If you're a prince, you're a prince. And I can't have any princes waking up Sleeping Beauty before the 100 years are up. I'll have to cast a nasty spell on you. The prince didn't stick around to see which nasty spell the witch had in mind. He ran deeper into the forest until he came to a tiny Excuse me, Miss Witch. I wonder if you could help me. I'm a prince and what did you say? Prince? Croaked the witch. No, no. I'm not the prince looking for Sleeping Beauty. But yes, I'm the frog prince. And I was looking for a member of your profession that could turn me back into a frog. Frog prince, did you say? That's funny. I thought frogs were little green guys with webbed feet. Well, no matter. If you're a prince, you're a prince. And I can't have any princes rescuing Snow White. Here, eat the rest of this apple. The prince, knowing his fairy tales, and knew a poisoned apple when he saw one, didn't even stay to say no thank you. He ran deeper into the forest until he came to a strange-looking house with a witch outside. Miss Witch, excuse me, Miss Witch, I wonder if you could help me. I'm the frog. If you're a frog, then I'm the king of France. No, I'm not a frog. I'm the frog prince, but I need a witch to turn me back into a frog so I can live happily ever after. Can you do it? Said the prince in one long breath. The witch eyed the prince and licked her rather plump lips. Why, of course, dearie, come right in. Maybe I can fit you in for lunch. The prince stopped on the slightly gummy steps. He broke off a corner of the windowsill and tasted it. Gingerbread. I hope you don't mind my asking, Miss Witch, but do you happen to know any children by the name of Hansel and Gretel? Why, yes, Prince Darling, I do. I'm expecting them for dinner. The prince, who, as we said before, knew his fairy tales, ran as fast as he could deeper into the forest. Soon, he was completely lost. The sun went down, the forest got spookier, and the prince became more and more frightened. He saw someone standing next to a tree. He walked up to her, hoping she wasn't a witch, for he had quite his fill of witches. Madam, I'm the Frog Prince. Could you help me? Gosh, you needn't, said the fairy godmother. You're the worst looking frog I've ever seen. No, I'm not a frog. I'm the Frog Prince, but I need someone to turn me back into a frog so I can live happily ever after. Well, I'm on my way to the village about seeing a girl about going to a ball, but I suppose I could give it a try. I've never done frogs before, you know. And with that, the fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and the prince turned into a beautiful carriage. The prince couldn't believe his rotten luck. Oh, what an idiot I've been. I could be sitting at home with the princess, living happily ever after. But instead, I'm stuck in the middle of this stupid forest, turned into this stupid carriage. Now I'll probably just rot and fall apart and live unhappily ever after. The prince thought these terrible, frightening kinds of thoughts, and a few worse too awful to tell, until far away in the village, the clock struck midnight. The carriage instantly turned back to his former prince self and ran by the light of the moon until he was safe inside of his own castle. Where have you been? I've been worried sick. You're 7 hours late, your dinner is cold, your clothes are a mess. The prince looked at the princess who had believed in him when nobody else in the world had. The princess who actually kissed his slimy frog lips. The princess who loved him. The prince kissed the princess, they both turned into frogs, and they hopped off, happily ever
All right, next up we have Jack A.G. One of the requirements to be on the Roeper middle school team is to be named Jack. So we have a number of Jacks. There is, oh no, we got a new Jack now. I know Jack. So the category is sales, and sales is one of a number of categories that can involve visual aids. People can dress up, they can, have fun. Well, everybody can have fun in any category. But they have some special, like in most categories, you're not allowed to have a prop, and in this one, Oh, there you go. You got a problem. So, all right. Yeah, take it away.
This is the Papermate Clearpoint pencil. It has crazy durability, with this barrel probably being able to take a drop from building. Compared to some other mechanical pencils where you can just easily snap them in half with your hands. The Papermate mechanical pencil also has this button right here where you can easily press to get more lead. The Papermate mechanical pencil can also be customized, as you can see here, since I have a black eraser tile, a teal button, and a dark blue barrel. The Papermate mechanical pencil also has a transparent barrel, so if you just tip it upside down, you can see how much lead you would have left in here. The Papermate mechanical pencil also has grips, so you easily can grasp it while writing, and good ergonomics, so your hand does not hurt after writing for a while. You can also simply spin this dial in the back, so you can spin it and get more erasure, so you never have to run out of an eraser again. Mechanical pencils are also superior to wooden pencils because for many reasons. Number one, they are arguably better for the environment. Mechanical pencils can, even though they are less sustainable than wooden pencils, they are lasting way longer because once that wooden pencil becomes a little stub, you have to throw it out. Meanwhile, a mechanical pencil can be used forever as long as one of its main parts doesn't stop working. Mechanical pencils are also more convenient because you don't need a trash can to get rid of the pencil shavings every time you're done using it, or every time you're done sharpening it. You just need a bunch of lead so you can put it in the back, and then you never have to stop writing without needing to sharpen or do something like that. The Papermate mechanical pencil also has better design ways you can use it because you can easily customize it for a mechanical pencil. You can easily customize mechanical pencils way more than wooden pencils because mechanical pencils only have three main components: a place to hold lead, a place to output lead and write, and a place to get lead out. Meanwhile, a wooden pencil needs to be straight, a long strip of graphite, and a size that can fit within inside of a standard pencil strip. This is why mechanical pencils are superior to wooden pencils, and the Papermate mechanical pencil is superior to all the mechanical pencils. Thank you.
Did this as just an exercise in class. I honestly thought he had just like looked around the room and grabbed something. It's like, this would be a good speech. But then we had like an hour-long conversation about his love of mechanical pencils and like every kind and what he's like used and what's failed him and what he keeps in his trusty pencil case. So next up is John Gruber with another impromptu.
Take it out of your mouth. No.
I think isn't Jack a nickname for John?
Oh my. obviously this is very realistic and it can always happen in real life, and every person here is real. Don't. Now, Dan enrolled in school because the forest. I don't think there's very many anymore. So he needed to hide. So he came to Roeper to hide because we have trees. Trees good. Remember that. Trees good. Don't eat trees. Dan learned that the hard way. Dan ate too many trees. So he became a teacher here, and he had to sneak into the government. He had to sneak into the FBI to erase all of his data. So he had to turn into a tree because he ate so many. It's very natural for him. And then he had the FBI people just put him inside right next to the computers. And then he ate the computers. So now instead of him having to go buy, he just turned into a computer. It's natural. It's called science. So now that we established that Dan is not a human and he is a woodland creature, we can now say that Dan can shapeshift, and he has turned into judges to make all of our sports better. Because we all know that's true. So, if anyone ever sees any lunch boxes go like floating away, we just blame it on Dan. He's been hungry. Oh no, sorry, that's me. Not Dan. Dan's the one who's been eating all the plants again. Would you please stop eating the plants, Dan? So, as we've said, Dan eats plants. He's a woodland creature, and he swaps skins with some unfortunate teacher from Harvard. I wonder what the teacher's doing right now. Dan, can you tell us what the teacher's doing? Never mind. You don't tell us. So, now that we know that Dan is not human and he is a spirit, how do we prove this? You just asked me. I know everything. I'm the all-knowing creature. I'm an all-knowing being. So, again, he had to have found a way to hack the computers after eating it. So, he obviously had to go to classes and swap skins again with some another unfortunate person who's taking a hacking class, and then had to swap back into his skins after like 2 years, so that he could erase all the data that they got on him. And then he enrolled in Roeper. But obviously Roeper has the woodland spirit detectors, so he had to obviously get rid of us. Thank you.
The Griffins up next. I feel like John just channeled all
That
the
one was obvious.
look stuff from all of the improv
Yes.
All right, be loud.
Can I start, Dan?
Yes, go Griffin.
A friendly desert community where the sun is hot, the moon is beautiful, and mysterious lights pass overhead while we all pretend to sleep. Welcome to Nightville. Welcome to Nightville, Episode 2, Glow Cloud by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Cream. Hello, listeners. To start things off, I've been asked to read this brief notice. The City Council announces the opening of a new dog park at the corner of Earl and Somerset near the Rocks. They would like to remind everyone that dogs are not allowed in the dog park. People are not allowed in the dog park. It is possible you will see hooded figures in the dog park. Do not approach them. Do not approach the dog park. Do not look at the dog park, and especially do not look for any period of time of the hooded figures. The dog park will not harm you. And now, for a brief public service announcement. Alligators. Can they kill your children? Yeah. And now, let's have a look at the community calendar. Saturday. The public library will be unknowable. Citizens will forget the existence of the library from 6 a.m. Saturday morning until 11 p.m. that night. The library will be under a sort of renovation, and it is not important what kind of renovation. Sunday is dot day. Remember, red dots on what you love, blue dots on what you don't. Mixing those up can cause permanent consequences. Wednesday has been canceled due to a scheduling error. And on Thursday is a free concert. And that's all it says here. And now, a word from our sponsors. Target is a great place to shop, and they would like you to consider the variety of silence in this world, the quiet of outdoor distances, of wilderness, of the luxury of space, and the quiet of dead air on the radio, the deathly silence when an argument has reached a height from which neither party can see a safe way down, silence in the courtroom, moments before a man's life is changed completely by something so insignificant as his past, sound of a mistake, of emphasis, of your own thoughts when you expected someone else's. In the silence of a hospital room, as a man, in front of everyone he loves, lets the heat from his clenched hands dissipate into the background of the universe. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Target. Here's something odd. There's a cat hovering in the men's bathroom at the radio station. He seems perfectly happy and healthy, but it's floating about 4 feet off the ground next to the sink. Doesn't seem to be able to move from its current hover spot, and if you pet him, he purrs and he'll rub your body like a normal cat, if you get close enough. Fortunately, because he was right by the sink, it was pretty easy to leave some food and water out when we could get it. And it's nice to have a station pet. Wish it wasn't trapped in a hovering prison in the men's bathroom. But listen, no pet is perfect. It becomes perfect when you learn to accept it for what it is. The City Council would like to remind you about the tiered heavens and the hierarchy of angels. The reminder is that you should not know anything about this. Please do not speak to or acknowledge any angels you might come across while shopping at the Rouse or at the Desert Floor Bowling Alley and Arcade Fun Complex. They only tell lies and do not exist. Please report all angel sightings to the City Council for treatment. Have any of our listeners seen the glowing cloud that has been moving in from the west? Well, John Peters saw it over the western ridge this morning. Said he would have thought it was a setting sun if it wasn't for the time of day. Apparently, the cloud glows in a variety of colors, perhaps changing from observer to observer, although all report a low whistling when it draws near. One death has already been attributed to the glow cloud. But listen, it's probably nothing. If we had to shut down the town for every event that had at least one death attributed to it, we'd never have time to do anything, right? And now, the weather. Lights seen in the sky above the Arby's. No, not the glowing sign of Arby's. Something higher and beyond that. We know the difference. We've caught on to their game. We know the lights above Arby's game. Invaders from another world. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is here. And it's about 100 feet above the Arby's. But the sky behind those lights, mostly void. Partially stars. That sky reminds us that we don't understand even more. Good night, Nightvale. Good night.
All right, we're going to the Old West. Liam's closing out the first half. Liam's some twist. Yep, there it is. All right. Liam is plenty loud. Liam, make sure you speak.
The Contest in Cowlick by Richard Kennedy. Hard boat and his gang rode into the little town of Cowlick one dusty afternoon when the sheriff and his men had gone fishing. The townsfolk ran off to hide.
Hey!
Hardbone yelled out.
Where are all the chickens in this coop? Ha! How about it? Where's your city sheriff and his girlfriend? Bring him out here so we can shoot him for a while. Well, shucks, this ain't no fun. Heck, I was looking for a little trouble.
At this moment, Wally crawled out from under a horse trough.
If you want some trouble, I can give you some trouble,
Said Wally. When his town was threatened, how does one scrawny kid manage to stand up to an entire gang? This is your typical Western. Join Wally and the dastardly, if not too bright, Hardbone game in this tale of brains versus blood. Or more accurately, neurons versus numbers. The Contest to Cali by Richard Kennedy.
most trouble you can give me is sticking between my teeth and I chop you up.
Hor, 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 laughed the gang. Shut up! Said Hogwarts. I'm the fastest runner anywhere around here. I bet I can win a foot race with your 5 best men. Well, ain't that a pretty howdy do? I just reckon to make you a little fun. Alligator, a snake whip, snake bite, gouge eye, black whip. Get over here and do a little leg stretching. The men got down off their horses and Wally drew a line in the dust. We'll race down to the end of the street, around the corner, into McGee's livery stable. The 5 men hitched up their pants, kicked their spurs off, sailed their hats out of the way, and dropped their gun belts. They hunched down the line with Wally. Ready? Wally said. Ready, the men directed. Hogwarts held up his 44. On your marks, get set, blam! The runners jolted across the line. Wally ran last all the way down the street. Some townsfolk came out of hiding as the runners raced by. When Wally got to McGee's livery stable, all 5 men were inside, laughing at him. As he jogged up to the door, Wally smiled and slammed the heavy door. He bolted it shut. He walked slowly back to Hogwarts and the remaining 10 men again. They beat me. They got a drink and sprawled out in the straw. I got a bad start, or I could have beat them, so that didn't count much. But I'll give you another try. Pick 5 men, and I bet I can climb faster than any of them. You're an assassinated mouse! Horse blanket, saddle horn, sense brakes for 8-bit. Get over here! The 5 men got over there. Only 2 long ladders set up against the side of the church. Now you 5 men go up that ladder, and I go up the other one. And I need to beat you all to the top. This ought to be good. We might even have a nut break-in! And he raised his 44. Blam! The climbers jumped at their ladders and clambered up. All 5 men were up and across the roof and sitting on the ridgepole of the church, and Wally was even at the top of his ladder. He stopped climbing and looked down. More townsfolk had come out of hiding to watch the contests. Some were carrying guns. Darn, you guys sure are good climbers. You ain't too bad yourself for a sprout, said Horse Blanket. They beat me fair, but I got one other contest. I know I can beat those last 5 men. Come on down out there, little rooster, and I'll give you one last chance! So Wally left him on the roof and climbed down. I know he don't look so strong. You look like a little bitty sister! Maybe so, but I can lift my horse over there. He pointed to a small pinto type of room. I gotta see that, even if he isn't my horse. Okay, then it's a contest. I bet you I can lift my horse. And I bet your 5 men can't lift those big pigs they're carrying. Now, if you never lifted a horse before, I can tell you it's a bit tricky. You have to get right underneath and look straight up. Trouble is, the horse wants to slide up your back. So what you have to do is tie him on real tight. Here, get underneath your horse and I'll show you how it's done. Some of you people give me a hand here. Wally took a lasso from Bump's horse and tied it around over the top of the saddle, around under Bump's back. The other men were tied under their horses the same way. You sure got some pretty funny ideas. Pretty funny. Then he walked over to the church and pulled both ladders away and slammed to the ground. Hey! Yanked shouted from the roof. How are we gonna get down from here? Right about then, Hogwarts began to catch on, and he took out his 44 and pointed it right between Wally's eyes. Now 5 of your men are locked in McGee's livery stable, and 5 are stuck on the church roof, and 5 are tied underneath their horses, and it looks like you can't do much alone. I can blow your head off! Won't do you any good. My friends here won't like that. Besides, you can have your men back all the money in the bank if you can holler louder than me. A hollering contest? You thought I gotta be boss of this game for nothing? Har, 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 har. Shut up! Not shut up. You want it first. Okay, give me some air sucking room. Wow, whoa! Wow, whoa! Not bad, but I can do better. If you took off your gun belt, you could get more in. That's a fact. Yeah, whoa! Take off your hat and toss your head back more. On the 7th try, the sheriff and his men, who had been just a holler up the creek, rode up quietly behind Hogwarts and took him by the arms. Hogwarts was so winded from hollering, he didn't even put up a fight when the sheriff hauled him off. The rest of the gang were rounded up and clapped in jail window. While I passed the jail window, Hogwarts glared up. Pretty funny! Shut up!
Alright, guys. That's closing out the first half. About 10. Yeah, 10.
And until everyone running it, right?
Yep, and then come on back in for the second half.
It's long though, so I can't text it. I tried to text Sarah. But maybe I can like so yes. Yes. Hopefully.
My mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries.
Alrighty guys, we know that you haven't had enough Night Vale performances, so we have the third of three. I'm guessing that everyone else will just convert their pieces in Night Vale. No, this is our second half. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. And yeah, up next is Adam's Dead. Oh, Adam's Dead. All I'm saying is the setting might seem familiar.
Today, as always, as every day of your life, is brought to you by Kellogg's. Are you worthy? Welcome to Night Vale. Hello, listeners. Well, you've been having some real budget problems here in the station, so it does seem like today's entire broadcast means sponsorship message from Kellogg's. I know that feels like a lot, but it was the only way to keep the station up and running. Station management consumes 3 tons of soil from Paris each month. It has been massively expensive digging it up and shipping it here, not to mention all the bribes we pay for government officials. Well, to say, the Kellogg's has agreed to pay for 1 month of soil shipments in exchange for us exclusively talking about them for the next 3 years. This explanation brought to you, of course, by Kellogg's. Let's get to the news. Executives of Flakios, a good local cereal company, announced that they're going to stand strong against the current Kellogg's encroachment. We're citizens of Night Vale, the chief executive Roeper Tuesday. We've been through a lot of terrifying stuff. It's a real weird town, but we're not fearing about competing cereal company. And then closets in his office opened, and folks from Kellogg's came out. I wouldn't worry about Flakios, one person said. And then the Kellogg's group left the office. To be honest, listeners, I am now worried about Flakios. And now the community calendar. This evening is the monthly school board meeting. Topics covered will include updating textbooks to contain words rather than rules and diagrams of virtual dances, hiring a new vice principal to hold endless scheduled suffering less than weeks ago, and replacing all the food in the cafeteria with cereal. Scientists from the Kellogg's Institute say that most food has no nutritional value at all, and only Kellogg's has all the protein, vitamins, and corn that a body needs to live. Well, that seems right. Thursday, the Boy Scouts are holding their summer bake sale. They'll sell cereal and nothing else. The cereal is not available to you. You are labeled cereal. Friday, Uncle Kellogg's Day, mentioning the outdated name for Kellogg's Day will result in severe fines and disappearances. And please set aside all of Tuesday, as Kellogg's has indicated that they will have use for us. All of us. On Tuesday, and then Kellogg's made this hollow try laugh that sounded like it came from a long Norman Stonewall. This has been the community calendar. Except we have tracks. No? Okay. I'm being told that traffic has been replaced today by our new segment. Listeners, I am pleased to bring you the common Kellogg's question of the day. How much is too much cereal? My offhanded answer, how much is too much life? How much is too much love? Would you deny yourself blood in your veins? Would you deny yourself dreams in your evenings? There is never
Tuesdale has vanished under mysterious circumstances. What van was a Kellogg's logo full of him as he walked to his car, and a group of people puzzled him into a burlap sack and a burlap sack into the van. There are no clues indicating what happened. Probably he got scared by the quality of his competitors' products and fled. Happens all the time. All the time with Kellogg's sack and burlap. In the beginning, there's nothing. And then there's Kellogg's. Spread and formed Kellogg's, became the planets and the stars. Kellogg's gathered into long strands between the arms of the galaxies and the infinity of Kellogg's. Space made tangible out of the empty. Kellogg's became the soil and the water, became the trees, became the birds, and has learned to speak and has learned to sing. The first man rose and found the first woman waiting for him, and her name was Kellogg's, and his name was Kellogg's, and they shouted and were at their own mortal forms. Years from now, the universe will disperse, the stars will dim, and Kellogg's will. It will wait as long as it needs to, forever. What human would perceive as forever. It'll wait 10 times as long as the universe ever existed, but eventually it will stir. There will be water. Unfathom the depth of water. Darkness will be upon the face of the deep, and it will all start to move. We are a community. In claiming this tiny corner of our world, we have created a kingdom. And like the universe, we are brought to us by Kellogg's. We are made of Kellogg's, and we belong to Kellogg's. And we cannot understand Kellogg's. That may be because the mystery is too complex. Or maybe it is as simple as a light. And truly, is not understand. That's it for a sponsored show. Remember, today has been brought to you by Kellogg's. And Kellogg's can take the day away. Good day, everyone. Good night.
Xavier, come on down. All right, the other element in a sales speech is you can have not any visual aids. In fact, the rule change, which we don't like, was that you're allowed to have one easel if you would like one, and anything you can place on that easel. So we typically are still, most of forensics is still working their way back up to the 1980s. We have a few teams from other schools that have giant televisions that their kids get wrestled to the ground by, but we are still with the good old school phone boards here. So this is a sales speech that might make you money.
Should I have a receipt? A quality and delicious chocolate bar that you can trust. I introduce to you Tony Chocolonely, brought by Kellogg's. Well, I mean, it sounds great, no? Like, almost perfect. And Toon would agree. Who was Toon? Toon van de Keuken, who was a Dutch journalist, had formulated Tony Chocolonely because he had noticed a major deficit of proper and ethical sourcing within the chocolate industry. So, how he come up with his name, and what is a chocolate? So, Tony is the anglicized version of Tim, which is his first name. And Chocolonely is a nickname he had given himself to represent his feelings of isolation when trying to fight for a cause that he was desperate to be fixed. Today, there are about 1.56 million cases of child labor in the world, 30,000 on farms in just West Africa. Tony's claim this is because of an undivided supply chain. Tony's acts as that liaison to connect that supply chain. And how do they do this? Well, for this supply chain, they focus on 5 sourcing principles. The first being focusing on the long-term effect. The second will have traceable and pure cocoa beans. The third being able to have strong and independent farmers.
focusing on the quality and productivity of their products. And the fifth is paying a higher price to guarantee the quality of their product. Now, the 5 sourcing principles are, first is I would call exceptional. They work to get the job done. That's not what creating change. What's creating change is the roadmap. The roadmap states that Tony's must first raise awareness in the industry. Second, Tony's must lead by example, raising the flag. And third, Tony's must inspire others to act, having the horses chase after the flag. Others, that could be you. Now, Tony's offers an undeniable variety of flavors, but continuing to maintain that quality. Nearly dozens of flavors that can be found on many stores in the US and TonyChocolateOnly.com. So, also on TonyChocolateOnly.com is an ability to customize your own chocolate bar. In orders 1 to 10,000, $5 for the bigger orders, $7.95 for lowest. And I don't want your distasteful Christmas card. I'm sorry, but I would if it was on a Tony's bar. To include it all, Tony's does not use child labor as it was directly formed to end it, unlike Mars Corporation. By CBS News, they had found that Mars Corporation had been using plentiful child labor, which goes directly against their vows to stop it by 2025 in their industry. Tony's would never betray you like that. Tony's is a pure and independent company which wants to give its customer a product they can feel happy about. Their brand statement states that Tony's is crazy about chocolate, while being serious about people, focusing on the betterment of its world. Thank you.
And bringing a little holiday cheer, Brendan, come on down. Yeah, thank you, Brendan.
Now then, judging timer ready?
Right, next one.
An Elf in Santaland by David Sedaris. I was in a coffee shop looking through the want ads when I read Macy's Herald Square, the largest store in the world, has big opportunities for outgoing, fun-loving people of all shapes and sizes who want more than just a holiday job. Being as an elf in Macy's Santaland means being at the center of the excitement. This afternoon, I sat in the 8th floor. All right. The woman at Macy's asked, "Would you be interested in full-time elf or an evening and a weekend?" I said, "Full-time elf. I am a 33-year-old man applying for a job as an elf." I often see people on the streets dressed as objects and handing out leaflets. I tend to avoid leaflets, but it breaks my heart to see a grown man dressed as a taco. I figure at least as an elf, I will have a place. I'll be in Santa's village. All the other elves, we will reside in a fluffy wonderland surrounded by candy canes and gingerbread shacks. It won't be quite as sad as standing on some street corner dressed as a French fry. This afternoon, I sat in the 8th floor Santaland office and was told, "Congratulations, Mr. Sedaris. You are an elf. On any given day, you can be an entrance elf, a water cooler elf, bridge elf, train elf, maze elf, island elf, magic window elf, counter elf, cash register elf, magic tree elf, pointer elf, photo elf, usher elf, or a runner elf." This afternoon, I worked as an exit elf, telling people in a loud voice, "This way out of Santaland, this way out of Santaland, this way out of Santaland." A woman was standing at one of the cash registers while her son lay beneath her, kicking and heaving, having a tantrum. The woman said, Riley, if you don't start behaving yourself, then Santa's not going to bring you any of those toys you asked for. The child said, he is too going to bring me toys, liar. He already told me. The woman grabbed my arm and said, you there, elf. Tell Riley here that if he doesn't start behaving himself immediately, then Santa's going to change his mind and bring him coal for Christmas. I said that Santa no longer traffics in coal. Instead, if you're bad, he comes to your house and steals things. I told Riley that if he didn't start behaving himself, Santa was going to take away his TV and all his electrical appliances, including the refrigerator. Your food is going to spoil and smell bad. It's going to be so cold and dark where you are. Man, Riley, are you ever going to suffer? You're going to wish you had never heard the name Santa. The woman got a worried look on her face and said, all right, that's enough. I said, he's gonna take your car, and your furniture, and all the towels and blankets, and leave you with nothing. The mother said, no, that's enough, really. There was a big Sesame Street Live extravaganza over at Madison Square Garden. So thousands of people decided to make a day of it and go straight from Sesame Street to Santa. We were packed today, absolutely packed, and everyone was cranky. Once the line gets long, we break it up into 4 different lines, because anyone in their right mind would leave if they knew it would take over 2 hours to see Santa. 2 hours. You can see a movie in 2 hours. Standing in a 2-hour line make people worry that they're not living in a democratic nation. People stand in line for 2 hours and they go over the edge. I was sent into the hallway to direct the second phase of the line. The hallway was packed with people, and all of them seemed to stop me with a question. Which way to the down escalator? Which way to the elevator? The patio restaurant? Gift wrap? Woman's restroom? Trim a tree? There was a line for Santa and a line for the woman's bathroom. And one woman. After asking me a dozen questions already, asked, which is the line for the woman's bathroom? I shouted that I thought it was the line with all the women in it! She said, I'm going to have you fired. I told her, I'm going to have you killed. I had 2 people say that to me today. I'm going to have you fired. Go ahead. Be my guest. I'm wearing a green velvet costume. It doesn't get any worse than this. My voice hurts.
Now you know how it feels, Brendan.
We have good upbeat holiday. Be loud.
1,000-year war between the ninjas and the dragons.
What?
It was a pretty terrible event. A lot of lives were lost, and too many, if you ask me. It was a horrible event. See, the dragons had this weird way of thinking, very different than the ninjas, that everyone should share everything that they had. Everybody should just group together and gather all their stuff and share it in one big treasure and food and sometimes children pile. Really weird, but I guess it kind of worked. Not in the way they hoped, but good for them. Anyways, the ninjas were kind of more like nomadic. They were traveling everywhere. Some of them went in like separate groups. And then one fateful day, a ninja named Katana Columbus decided to sail out and try and discover America. Unfortunately, as we all know, when he got to America, it was actually the dragon's land. So, yeah. Thank you. So, once he got to the dragon's land, he was shocked at what he was seeing. All these dragons everywhere. He was like, it's still America, so I'm gonna make the best of it. So, you know what he did? He enslaved those dragons. He should not, yeah, can we hear some boos? Yeah, that's right. Freedom for the dragons, am I right? And that is why, of course, I would choose dragons over ninjas.
John, if you're up next, just so we know, or so that we don't have any misunderstandings at tournaments, you don't get to boo at tournaments. But you can here at Forensics. One of the things we do tell our students at Forensics Night is that this is like whatever you've dreamed you want to do with a piece, including back and forth with the audience, like we are down with that. Because you can't do those things in a regular round, so it's nice to be able to cut loose a little bit. But I don't think Dominic has any trouble.
Right cheer for the right job.
Right. Exactly.
Can you all see me?
Yeah.
'Cause I can't see you. These lights are blinding. All right. Judging timer in.
Right.
Story of Three Little Pigs, adapted by adults. Children, gather around. Mom's gonna tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a mom pig who had three little pigs named Pig. 1, 2, and 3. And boy, they were pigs! I looked up pigsty in dictionary and showed a picture of my house. So one day, I decided it was time for them to leave, and I gently nudged them out the window. Mama, why you do it, Mama? Why you do it? You three little pigs have been a pain in my house for some time now. Pig 1, you're always chewing on stuff. You mean us having house and home? Heck, you mean our house and home. Pig 2, you're always rolling around in filth like some kind of pig. Pig 3, I don't like your attitude. You're all strutting around and acting like your parents smiling at your mom. That's because I am, Mother. That's it. You're done. And don't try to come wee all the way home. You hear? Slam the way. The three little pigs went their separate ways. Lacking sorely in construction skills and knowledge, Pig 1 looked for some materials to build a house. He saw a man pushing a cartload of hay down the road. Yo, hey man, lay some hay on me, said Pig 1. I got a house to build. And Pig 1 quickly built his house out. Soon, a big bad wolf came disguised as a traveling salesman and knocked down the first little pig's door. Little the best, you know what I'm saying? I'm the notorious P.I.G. Now go there, I'll pop you one in your chinny chin chin. Oh, hard sell, huh? What do you think of after this? Clap on! Wolf clapped his hands and now burst into a raging inferno! Clap off. The house returned to normal. Whoa, how do you do that? It's a fairy tale. Anything's possible. That's possible. I don't want your insurance. That's possible. I will blow your house down in detail. Then the wolf huffed. I puffed. I blew the house down. Pig one was already far away when the breeze cleared. I'll get you for this wolf. You haven't seen the last of me. And pow, pig one ran all the way to pig three's house. Soon the wolf arrived at pig two's house, which had been built out of sticks. Little pig, let me come in. I've got some fire insurance for you. Okay. Pig two stared a while at the wall. Yes. I think I forgot to put in a door. Pigs two had built 4 walls around himself with no way out. Wolf grinned maliciously. I think I can help you. Then the wolf puffed. I puffed. I ran right through the wall and fell to the basement. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The floor isn't quite finished today. What are you doing in my basement? Just get me out of here! I'll go to Big Brother's house. He's smart. He has one of those doohickeys. You know, where you get taller, pig two strength. A ladder? Oh yeah, that's it, one of those. And pow! Pig two ran all the way to pig three's house. So, the big bad wolf finally clawed his way out of pig two's basement and approached pig three's mansion, which had been built out of custom imported pig-shaped bricks, best in the European market. He knocked on the door. Pig three's face appeared on a 6-foot-tall video, 106th Street. What do you want? I'll just get to the point. I'm gonna blow your house down and eat you. Then the wolf huffed. I puffed. And suddenly, Pig three materialized in front of the wolf. He took off his glove and slapped the wolf across the face with it. Please stop! Your breath stinks! Thank you for saving us both the trouble. Now I'm afraid I'm going to have to eat you. I think not, said Pig three, touched a button on his bow tie, and disappeared. Then the wolf huffed. I puffed. And suddenly, with a huge rumbling sound, out of an underground silo, a giant pig robot rose from the ground. Pig three's voice came out of the speaker on the robot. Hello, Wolf. I see you've met my Hamanare 4000. It has over 2 billion vacant bits of memory. You don't stand a chance. An AI loses when pigs fly, said the wolf. That can be arranged. Suddenly, the Hamanare 4000 began to lift off the ground. Wolf pulled their walkie-talkie. Lucas went to Beanstalker. We're casting a meeting back to citizens. Suddenly, a booming voice came from the clouds. Fee, fi, fo.
story. It's maybe not.
Nice job.
Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all else is the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain. But once conceived, it haunted me day and night. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door, so I opened it, until, at length, a simple, dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open. Wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. The hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. The beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now, a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed open. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. And for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. His eye would trouble me no more. I took up 3 planks from the flooring of his chambers and deposited all of his remains between scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Information had been lodged at the police office. The police had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was mine, in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chambers. I showed them his treasures, secure and undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct and continued and gained deafness. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained deafness. Until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. I no doubt grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice, yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I rose and argued about trifles in a high key with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raged, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard it not? Almighty God, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony and derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. Now again, louder, 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 louder. Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here. It is the beating of his hideous heart.
In forensics, we have an extra special category called original interpretation, where the performer performs their own writing, and that is the case with this one. So
Are you ready? All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome to America's 23rd favorite game show, What Could Go Wrong? I'm your host, Fancy McShancy. Let's introduce today's
Was he trying to be funny? Did he think this was some joke? Was he trying to show that he was better than me? It was his tone. He said, "Are you alone?" But what he really meant to say was, "You're alone, aren't you?" And I can't imagine that he's not alone every single day of his miserable, pathetic life. He has terrible skin, and it is not attractive. Not the way bad skin, or at least the remnants of bad skin, is attractive on some people, on some men. It's never attractive on a woman. Have you noticed that? Just one more example of the injustices we are forced to suffer. If we have bad skin, then we're grotesque. Let a man have bad skin, and he can be frickin' Richard Burton, for God's sake. I just hate being a woman. The food chain by Name Silver. That's straight. But the point is that this waiter has terrible skin and greasy hair, and his breast stinks of something dead, and his face is entirely too close to mine, and then he insults me and asks if I'm alone. So I feel my face go flush, and I just like to rip his head off. I like to pull his hair out, although I'd never be able to get a decent grip. I just like to pick up my butter knife and stab it in his sunken, caved-in chest. But I simply respond, "No, thank you." Before you say anything, I realize now, of course, that my answer was, in fact, illogical, but at the time, it was all I could think of. And, well, he leans back, and really, in the most supercilious manner, he leers at me and tones, "I meant, are you eating alone?" I knew what you meant. I knew what he meant. I don't know why I said what I said. I just said it. He made me sick. I hope he dies. So I shouted, "I knew what you meant." And everyone was staring at me. Probably because I was standing. I must have leapt up when I shouted. But the place was very crowded, much more crowded than I ever recall it being. But I was so humiliated. I thought I would die or be sick. I was certain I was going to be sick, standing up there in that diner, being stared at. So I just stood there in that diner for what seemed like hours. And then, with all the composure and dignity I could muster, which was actually considerable, I said, "I've changed my mind," and then left. And I was all the way on 43rd Street before I realized that I'd left my purse. There's another example of how we are kept under the thumb of patriarchal culture. Purses. Do men have purses? No, they have pockets. Why don't we have pockets? I'll tell you why, sister. Because they would make our hips bulge. It might make our buttocks look lumpy, and we couldn't have that. So no, we have purses. And you can either get a dainty little purse that you can hold in your hand, or you can get one of those big old shoulder bags which hurt like heck and leave deep red welts in your skin, and I'm sure it throws your spine out of alignment, and you end up in pain about getting osteoporosis. And you spend all your time worrying and all your money on calcium supplements, which do no good anyway, because you'll know you'll end up with a hump, and all your dresses are going to look longer in the front. Of course, you can always get a knapsack, but then people are just going to think that you're cheap. I just like to eat my hands with a filthy misogynist. I'd like to murder whoever the jerk was that invented the handbag. As I was saying, I was all the way on 43rd Street before I realized that I left my purse. And I started to feel a little dizzy and nauseous. I hadn't had anything to eat, and I wasn't sure if I could make it back to my house without fainting. So I headed south, back to my corner, back to the diner, back to the hateful waiter, but back to my purse. And so I ran ahead, and the traffic was just swimming in front of me. But I didn't care. I wanted my purse, and my keys, and my bed, and a bath. So I just ran forward. Every block I survived just felt like a victory. And then I made it. So it was across the street. It was home. So I was standing on the corner, surrounded by what seemed to be hundreds of little children, all wild and loud and out of control. And
so we were all standing there on that corner, waiting for the light to change. And it wouldn't. It would not. We waited hours. We stood there for weeks for the light to change, yet it wouldn't. But then, you'll never believe it, it turned green. I know it turned green. I just know it. So I staggered, or stumbled, or walked into the street, and a car from nowhere came zooming at me. It was headed directly towards me. It was gonna kill me. I was gonna die, but it swerved. It swerved to the side. Curve. Once children. They were screaming, but I didn't look back. I just ran. Yes, it does. I don't know what happened. I don't want to know what happened, but I just ran straight to my building and
All right, you might remember 100 years ago when I told you about duo. This is our one duo. It's the funeral. Oh, you gotta say
Okay.
Judging timer ready?
Ready.
Funerals.
Formal, sad, and depressing.
Yet, in all that gloom, there are still some people.
Who are blind to the discomfort of others and drive the people around them to madness.
Funeral Club.
By Christopher Duran. Susan, I'm so sorry. My deepest condolences.
Yes. Thank you.
Marcus, yes.
Marcus. Thank you for coming.
We'll all miss him terribly.
Yes, it's a great loss.
We'll all miss him.
Yes.
You miss him terrible.
Well, I don't feel good. It was a terrible shock.
Death is always a shock. You're sitting home doing nothing, and then suddenly death goes BOOM! And somebody falls down dead.
Yes.
What were his last words? Would he boo?
What? Boo? No, he didn't really have any last words.
Did he make any last noises? Guttural sorts of noises or high-pitched shrieking ones?
Noises, I don't know. They were lower than that. Don't do that again.
Oh, Susan, you poor thing! I wouldn't wait here if I were you. I'm gonna be a while. All alone in the house now. Alone in the kitchen. Alone in the dining room. Alone in the living room. Living room? That's a mocking phrase now, isn't it?
Please, don't go on.
Yes, but you have to mourn, Susan. To mourn! I always thought the Irish were right to do all that keening. Do you want to keen, Susan?
No, not really. Thank you anyways.
How about singing a spirit?
I don't think so.
Swing low, swing low, sweet chariot, call me for the caravan.
Thank you so much for coming.
Don't you want to sing?
I don't want to keen or sing. I'm an Episcopalian. I will cry quietly in my room later this evening. Now, I must attend to the other.
Susan, you're avoiding the sadness. I can't let you do that.
Please let me do that. It's been a terrible day. I have to bury my husband.
Ooh, is he in a casket? It's a Clovis casket. He's not actually in some other room, propped up in some stuffed chair or other, waiting to the start of someone, is he?
Certainly not. Thank you so much for coming.
That would give someone quite a fright.
Excuse me, I think the mortician is signaling me.
You know, your husband was the only person on that whole darn train who was even willing to speak to me.
How interesting.
The other people would get panic in their eyes if I even started to walk in the direction. Your husband, though, was always very friendly to me. Not my father. Nowadays, my father won't even return my phone calls. I went to a seance and everything.
Possibly.
What? Well, he's dead. But I have this medium friend who gave me this special 800 number that we call dead. Maybe you'd like to try the number to reach your husband.
I don't think so. Well, que sera, da. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Well, you're welcome. I just feel so terrible about your husband being up, and I don't know what I'm going to do on the train in the morning.
Well, why not read a book?
That's an idea. You have any suggestions?
Oh my, I don't know. Thornbirds, Great Expectations, any book. I don't care.
My favorite book is The Boy and the Elephant.
Yes, that is excellent.
Have you read?
No, but I hear wonderful things. Ah, me, my, well, thank you so much for coming. Goodbye.
Are you leaving?
No, I'm not leaving. I want you to leave. You're making me hysterical. Don't you take a hint when I say thank you for coming? That's code for go away now. Don't you understand that?
Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it just meant thank you for coming. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Is there anything else you've said in code I haven't understood?
No, nothing. I don't think so.
Oh, good.
It's just, well, dear, now I feel terribly guilty for having expressed my emotions.
Oh, don't feel guilty about expressing your emotions. That's a good thing to do. You've had a terrible loss.
Yes, I have.
Are you sure you don't want to keep me at? I'm not Irish. I think it's a very appropriate thing to do other way.
I don't know. What does keen sound like exactly?
Oh, it's real interesting. It's sort of like this.
Please stop staring. Go back to your conversational buzz.
Did I do something wrong again?
Well, it was a very startling noise.
It's just like crying, but more dramatic. I love to cry. You loved your husband, didn't you?
Yes.
But like, don't you want to key just a little?
Well, I see your point, but I don't know that I really could.
You could do it softer than I did.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, please, I'm sure it will make you feel better.
Would it? This is difficult to do in public. Can I call you later this evening and do it over the phone?
No, it's much more healing to keep at the funeral. You shouldn't do it on the phone!
I don't know.
Come on. It'll help. That's good. That's good. That's good. There. That's better.
Thank you so much for coming. What? No. Not code. Thank you. I feel much better.
Well, you're welcome.
Let's hear it one more time. We super appreciate all the energy from the performers and from the audience. You guys really made this like a wonderful night for everyone. So thanks again for coming out and staying out on a cold, dark Friday night. Please have a wonderful weekend. We really appreciate
Triple XL silicone placemat. Now, I imagine that one of those is the little
uncomfortable thing because some children are messy people and they're having feet. You wouldn't want to ruin a nice fabric placemat. So, of course, there probably is a placemat. I could probably find a triple XL silicone placemat. I think saying triple XL just makes it sound better. So that's why that's the object that I wanted to do. So I'm going to start out with whaling with wine.